So you said a bit earlier about like not necessarily, throwing yourself down a hill, because it really hurts the quads and all that. So I actually found in Brisbane, that was where I actually made up time. As from cycling, I was a sprinter, so
Okay.
I've got some quite quite decent quads.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
Is there a way to, I guess, incorporate that into the training or into the racing to take advantage of, you know, like natural advantage?
Sure.
Because I was
Yeah.
doing, I averaged 5 minutes per K, but I was throwing down the hills at 2:40, 3 minutes per K.
That's right. Yeah.
Uh, and I passed probably a good 100 people, 100 plus people, and I ended up getting stopped because there's just too many people in the way. Otherwise, I would have gone a bit harder and faster. But and that was eight to 10K into the race at least. Like it wasn't, the last 2K. It was, the first half. Like, and then I didn't find it impacted me negatively as
How
such.
did the last 5K of that race go?
It was progressive run essentially. I kept building and building. Last
Okay.
last 5K, well, the last 2K was the fastest. It was about 450 per K, and then 455. So I kept building into the run as such.
Yeah. I would say it's not a bad strategy. It's just like it's a high risk, high reward strategy, right?
Mm.
Because if your legs go, that's a high risk, right? But like you said, if you can run 250Ks. Now, if I were to look at it, from a math perspective, let's say it's like you're not really gaining that much time, relatively speaking, right? Because the downhill is going to be what 30 seconds versus 27 seconds, right? Because it's so short, relatively speaking, right?
Mm.
Um, so you're not gaining that much. I'm not against it, especially if you've got strong quads, like you're good, you handle eccentric stuff well. You could add some eccentric stuff in the gym to quads as well to further kind of help that. But I would look at it and go, it probably tells me you could be going harder on the flats, which are going to have a longer time, right? Like if you look at it, if you proportion it out in terms of percentage of race that's downhill, percentage of race that's uphill, percentage race of flats, right? It probably tells me that you could be going a little bit harder on the flats, which is going to net more time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I guess I'm coming from, as I said, I was a sprinter. So you
Yeah.
take it easy the whole race, and then you just
Yeah.
sprint the
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
200 meters.
Yeah.
So my diesel is not very is probably not where I'd like it, and that's where I
Yeah.
guess where half marathon is. It's long
Yeah.
efforts.
Be able to go.
It's the breakaway kind of person that does well at
Yeah.
that. And so
Exactly.
that's I guess that's what I'm still working on is building it so that I can actually do that whole run hard versus just cruising and then finishing hard.
Yeah, and that's where doing the stuff at like closer to true Daniel's tempo gives you like that's grindy, right? And these races are grinds, like you're grinding versus like when I watch the tour, right? Like I'm a runner. I'm like this big around when I'm like really training, right? So like I look at the climbers and I'm like, oh, that's me. And when I did triathlon, I climbed really well, right? And I look at the sprinters and go, yeah, it must be nice to sit in the draft and do no work all day, and then all of a sudden in the last 800 meters you get to go have some fun, right? And like to be clear, I could never sprint because I can't even put out like 700 watts, let alone 1400 or something like some of these guys are, right? So, but if you want to be successful over the entire tour, to continue this analogy, as like a GC guy, you got to be able to grind for a long time in a bunch of different places, right?
Mm.
And so I would look at it for you if you want to get to that 130ish that you mentioned earlier. It's probably going to be about better pacing throughout the entire race rather than maximizing a 1 or 2% thing. It's a good question. I like the way you think because it's fun to answer. This is one of the reasons why I love this series actually because it's like super fun to answer these questions. 20, so I'm going to go 25 to 27 and a half here. So you're coming off and having to run some good long tempo. This is a good like pacing one to find out like, are you running good tempo here?
Mm.
Um, so do this one. Gonna get rid of this. And we're gonna go back to just like a Norwegian style, like VO2 max session. Uh, Call it interval pace, like Daniel's on 2 minutes. Pretty hard one. It's a fun one to do because you're looking at it going, hey, we don't have that much longer until we got to taper down, right? So we're trying to just
Mm.
pull things up here a little bit, right? So this one would look at going. I would do 2 times 17:30 at tempo on 3.5. And then if I look over here, I'm going to go back to that 10 minutes at marathon, but then I'm going to do 8 times 2 minutes at 5K, 1 minute E pace, which is similar to what we did off the top here. We did like 8 by 2 minutes, but that was on 1 minute easy jog. But again, we're going to go back to recovering, talking about being able to recover off hills and stuff. So this is going to be e-pace recovery. So we're going to learn a lot here, pacing, comfort, navigating all of these fun things. So I'm just going to change. This will be your 50 to 60 minute E. This will be 230. And then this will be your rest/strength day. I don't know why I didn't copy down, but we'll get rid of that envelope. So for the half, as we're like right here, right? I actually only do a 1 week taper. I don't think you need a 2 week taper for a half marathon. You can call it 8 days because we're going to curb the long run here in a sec. You'll see that. But if you're running your easy paces and your workouts properly, you actually don't need much of a taper. So 2 by 20 minutes.
Yeah, so you could probably see up till Thursday, and then it's got Friday as the rest day. That up until that Friday has been normal training, and Saturday, Sunday is when the taper starts really. Even for marathon, I don't do much more than that.
Yeah, like it'll depend on the person for me in terms of what to do and how their build is going. It's tricky, but like because you've got a history, I'm going to say like a 1 week taper. And so this workout here becomes relatively crucial. 2 by 20 minutes, the first 20 at half marathon, the second at tempo. So for somebody who's, let's just say 90-ish minutes, right around that 90-ish minutes, there's going to be a clear delineation between those paces, right? And what I'm looking for as a coach, if I'm watching that workout, is can you actually pick it up after 20 minutes at half marathon? 20 minutes is enough to be in it, right? It's not a lot relative for a half marathon. You got to do that, 4 times essentially, 4 and a bit, 4.5, I suppose. But I want to see that you're able to pick it up, because if you're not, or the tempo is a big struggle, we're probably going to find that at 45, 50, 60 minutes at half marathon effort, you're going to be in really rough, right? So that gives us a bit of a reality check or a gut check, or hopefully an affirmation that pacing is probably appropriate for the following week to go out in. Does that make sense?